Retro Hangover supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes, Ashton Ruby, Randall Quiggle, Tony G, Katie Quigg, and Paul Ramallo. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated.
Open your ears and crack some beers. You are listening to episode 85 of Retro Hangover.
And hello, retro and classic gamers. Welcome to the podcast, coming to you on the podcatcher of your choice from the home of AEW, Jacksonville, Florida. This is episode 85 of the Retro Hangover podcast. First, from the OP, your co-host, Chris Copeland. That's me. From the cold, frozen tundra of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, your special guest, Goobs. And
oh, give me a hell yeah.
And from the Berg, your host and Universal Heavyweight Champion of the Eggplant, Shane Dick the Dragon Steamboat Koski.
Do you know what the Dick Dragon is cooking?
Smegma.
That's that. He could be cooking that.
Eggplant, but Jesus Christ. Okay, sure.
Sorry, I'm fucking half deaf. I can't think.
He's dripping with wit and schmegma.
That's usually what happens after Chris's intros. I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised we even have listeners, but
probably it's all my fault.
I have someone that yells at me too.
Any case, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, Goobs. Thank you for being here.
Fucking great to be here, boys. Inside the square circle, you ready to fucking crack some beers and talk some wrestling?
Hell yeah, brother. We are ready to have a good time. We are ready to.
That's right. It's the cream of the crop. Rise to the top, Elizabeth.
While Shane grapples with his impressions, we will be talking some old school wrestling games. From I guess now it's old school fucking wrestling. That's kind of scary. Now that I
know, right?
Man, 20 years.
I mean,
Fuck.
We are a retro game show. Like, by virtue of that, we are just talking about stuff that's going to make us feel
old. Of course,
right?
yeah. I mean, I don't want to go too much into that. But this one hurts. This one, like, really hits close to home, though. Just because I remember all these people. It's different.
Most which aren't with us anymore.
Yeah.
A
lot of them are dead.
Also a good point.
Yeah, drugs.
Wow.
Drugs, concussions.
We're starting this off on a real fucking upbeat. This is great.
That's wrestling.
We're all old, and most of these people are dead. Anyway.
Yes. Just call me Benoit.
As I'm chuckling, hey, that's a Canadian legend you're talking about. Don't at me.
That's what holes in your brain will do to you, kids. Don't bang your head against a wrestling mat.
That's why we just call him Chris or Brisk Kenwa. That's how you get around it. Just change the name. Different person.
That's what you do. But in any case, as we do to start off our show before we get into our main topic, we're going to be talking about the games we've been playing. So how about let's just kick it off. Goobs, you're our guest. Go ahead, tell us what have you been up to? And, first of all, more importantly, like, where are you from? Because I don't think a lot of people, well, hopefully they know because their shows have a pretty good crossover. But where are you from, dude?
I'm from the Secret Levels podcast, bro. We're also a retro video game show. We do things a little bit differently to you guys, but we're all kind of the same thing. Just spreading the love of retro video games, replaying games that we loved and fucking hated in the past.
Hell yeah.
And I do it with my wonderful co-host, Toby. He's fucking a great dude.
Yeah.
And, we'll be doing, we did some wrestling games before, and we do a bunch of other shit too. So come check us out if you like the way I sound. Or if you like dick jokes, we got plenty of those.
We don't do dick jokes here.
There's a lot of audience crossover there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're all about the dick jokes.
Never heard of them.
But yeah, and as of what I've been playing recently, I've been playing some wrestling games leading up to this. The 64 ones, of course, which we're going to be talking about, but I've been playing something a little bit different. I'm playing some Fire Pro Wrestling World on the PS4.
Nice.
And it's a game that has New Japan Wrestling in it, has a lot of their stars, and it's pretty much like a rehash of those 64 games. Bit more challenging when it comes to technique and everything, but highly, highly fucking recommend it for those hardcore gamers because you can actually recreate everything. There's all different modes you can do in there, and it's a wonderful playthrough. And it takes a fucking hell of a long time, and it's pretty difficult. But if you stick with it, it's rewarding.
Now I know that Fire Pro, I don't know how much you've played a Fire Pro in the past, but I know Fire Pro has often taken a lot of real-life wrestlers and made, copies of them. It sounds like they don't have to do that anymore if they have a license. But did they always have a license?
Yeah, no, they definitely do a lot of copies, but they also have a great creator wrestler, like a CAW kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, which is great because a lot of people get a hold of that, and they absolutely I have like every wrestler I've ever wanted in this game.
Nice.
And they're like, they have all the same moves. It's fucking amazing. And plus, you can do a barbed wire death match that doesn't have a shitty ending.
You mean like the ring actually implodes on itself? Or it's just sparklers and you have Eddie Kingston laying there dead because...
Yeah, in a 69 position on top of a great wrestler.
Hey, maybe he was just that elated. Who knows? He says that wasn't the case. Wrestling references, people. You got to go watch AEW, but or not.
You're gonna get a lot of wrestling references during this one. And you got to know what you're coming into. You got a fucking 2 huge wrestling fans here.
Yeah,
and just a baby face coming along for the ride.
Definitely 2.
Yeah, definitely 2. Well, you know who your favorite wrestler is now, ever since you were at that show. But we'll get to that a bit. But before we do, Shane.
Yes.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, other than doing a very cursory playthroughs through most of these games that we're talking about today, just so I can feel like I know what I'm talking about this time around. I finished my full playthrough of Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U, and I gotta say, I have underrated that game for a very long time, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was a solid Zelda game. I think, actually, all in all, I would put it pretty damn close to somewhere at the top of my list as far as favorite Zelda games. I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, and of course, that is helped along immensely by the complete removal of the unnecessary waggle controls. And probably also a little amplified by the fact that I played it immediately after finishing a playthrough of Skyward Sword, which made me want to hang myself. So, you don't
like the angle of the wangle?
Yeah, I can't say I'm a fan. I got to be honest. Yeah, and I think anybody who's listened to the show for a while probably knows that as well. But
oh yeah, no, I was just poking the
bear. But yeah, so knocked that one out. Felt pretty good about that, and I have now started up a playthrough of something else that I suppose I can't really talk about right now because it may or may not be for an upcoming episode. But suffice to say, it is an Xbox 360 game that may or may not have involved Square Enix in some way. Let's just say that. But it was nowhere on my radar up until we decided we were going to do an episode on it, and so far I'm pleasantly surprised. We'll see where it goes, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me right now. What about you, Chris? What have you been staying busy with?
Before I get into that, if you're a member of our Discord, you know exactly what game Shane is referencing and playing.
That's
right
true.
now.
Yeah. So shameless plug to get into our public Discord, and you too can have insider info, just like Martha Stewart.
Yes. bit.ly/
I should go look and just spoil it. I'm supposed to be the heel here, right? So
yes. Yeah, I mean you're nearly on target, is what I'll say.
God damn it.
What I'm playing, I just got done with Nier Automata. See, I'll talk about things. And I have to say I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I think if I played it before I played the first one, I would have liked it more. All of the emotional gut punches that I got in the first game, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to ruin it for Shane.
Thank you.
Just weren't there in this one. I mean, they were there, but it just wasn't as profound, and you could see a lot of them coming from a mile away, considering you're playing a sequel to another game. So I expected a lot of things like, oh, well, this is really what's happening. I'm like, duh. I kind of was hoping that there would be more to it. I've had conversations with somebody in our Discord, Riku, who's also on the Secret Levels Discord and is also our newest patron. Thank you, Riku.
That's right.
Becoming a patron.
Good job, Riku.
But I've had
tall hand, motherfucker.
Tall hands. But I got to say is like I've had conversations with him about it, and it's just kind of like I don't know what's missing. I don't know what I'm missing from it. And we're actually going to be having a RH Gaiden on it with Riku and Backlog Adam. But we're going to be...
I'm even on one of those.
What's that?
Said, hell, I'm even on one of those.
We'll think about it. I don't know if we're going to ever have you do one of those, Goobs. We'll have to really think hard about it. Don't know about it.
Okay.
If we do, it's going to be something pretty rageful. But the other game that I've been playing is Phantasy Star 2, speaking of rageful. And that game sucks. It's not good. It has not aged well. And you want to talk about a massive letdown and a massive disappointment. I played Phantasy Star 2 and not that long, when you think about it, after Phantasy Star 1. And I love Phantasy Star 1. And I was like, Phantasy Star 2, okay, I've heard maybe it's not as good, but, people still love it. I'll give it... No, it sucks. It's bad. It's grindy. The music sucks. The graphics suck. The whole entire user interface sucks. It's a bad game, and I'm going to finish it so I can do a review for it. No, it's bad. This is you know what, Goobs? This is our rage meter right now. This is me raging about Phantasy Star 2.
Wrestling
it
reference.
Fucking sucks. It is. I'm sorry if you like the game. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry if you like the game. You should feel bad about liking this game. I fucking hate that game. Fuck Phantasy Star 2.
You can have the rage meter for this one, bud. Sounds like you're sticking your dick in a pencil sharpener. That's how rageful it is.
I want to do that to every fan of Phantasy Star 2 who told me that was good. I'm put their dick in a fucking pencil sharpener. Fuck you.
I just
and I'm
feel
playing
like
it with
that
save
would
states.
Require you to be personally involved with like way too many other people's dicks. I mean, like if that's your thing, like good on you. But
at this point, that might give me pleasure because it's what's going to happen to them, not so much what I'm doing with it.
I mean, however you got to rationalize it.
Fuck
man,
Phantasy Star 2. Fuck that game.
You gonna fluff them first, or are you just gonna stick them in there limp?
Just questions mash it right in there.
Yeah, like sticking a marshmallow in a piggy bank.
That piggy bank's jobbing out to the marshmallow. That's for sure. And speaking of jobbing out, we're talking about wrestling games for the N64, specifically THQ ones.
Was that a wrestling reference? Great.
No, that wasn't at all. That was a sexual reference, but anyways.
It could be. But if you go to this era of WWF, then, it could be either. Late 90s. Nobody. Not even. Fuck. God damn it.
What?
Just let them hang. Oh, don't do the what's.
Nothing? You're not going to set... Oh, God damn it, Shane, I'll set myself up then.
No, fine. All right.
You son of a bitch.
No, you're right. Yes. Also, that thing you just said, I guess, about wrestling. But we are, in fact, talking about N64 wrestling games today. Specifically, I think we're focusing in mostly on the THQ entries. And so to edify the rest of us about the history behind these things, Chris is going to take it away.
Since the dawn of home consoles, professional wrestling has been a genre that game developers have been trying to grapple with varying degrees of success. Whether it was the flurry of decent to downright awful games on the NES, the gaming equivalent of someone slamming their own head into a turnbuckle on the Master System, or the avalanche of arcade ports to the SNES and Sega Genesis, there was no doubt that pro wrestling adaptations were here to stay. By the mid-90s, the gaming landscape was rapidly transitioning into the third dimension, and wrestling titles would inevitably need to follow. While early on in the Saturn and PlayStation's life, we would see a 2D sprite-based arcade port of WWF Wrestlemania, it was becoming abundantly clear that the genre was in need of a new direction. Around this same time, professional wrestling itself was experiencing a boom with the Monday Night Wars between the World Championship Wrestling, or WCW, and World Wrestling Federation, or WWF. The iron was hot to strike, and THQ was about to deliver a digital powerbomb directly into the living rooms of every gamer. Historically known for games ranging anywhere from offensively terrible to simply mediocre, THQ would wind up securing a deal with Ted Turner to obtain the license for WCW. A huge get, as WCW's Monday Nitro was seeing explosive ratings growth and body slamming the competition in WWF's Raw is War. While the developer's first offering would be the PlayStation's WCW vs. the World, they wouldn't fully hit their stride until WCW vs. NWO World Tour for the N64. Forging a collaborative deal with Asmic Ace Entertainment and Aki Corporation for this title, THQ would essentially create a direct port of Japan's Virtual Pro Wrestling while changing character skins to appeal to American audiences. World Tour would be released on November 30th, 1997 in North America, and February 12th, 1998 in Europe. Interestingly, critics didn't seem to like it, with an aggregate score of 75% on Metacritic, with major publications EGM and GameSpot giving it a 6 and 5.7 out of 10 respectively. These critical assessments would not reflect consumer interest, however. The game's multiplayer options and surprisingly intuitive control scheme, giving the N64's unique controller, would convince N64 owners to come out in droves. World Tour would quickly sell 1 million copies and earn the Player's Choice label, eventually becoming the second best-selling N64 wrestling entry overall. Naturally, THQ seized the opportunity to produce a sequel, with Aki and Asmic building upon World Tour by adding more features, a larger roster, and more refined gameplay. The result? WCW NWO Revenge would be released less than a year later on October 26, 1998 in North America and November 30th, 1998 in Europe. Revenge would easily surpass its predecessor in every facet, receiving both commercial and critical acclaim, going on to sell nearly 2 million units. Despite the huge success THQ achieved, the rights to the WCW property were sold to Electronic Arts in 1999. Not willing to lose by countout, THQ would quickly find a new ally, one that was quickly becoming the premier wrestling brand worldwide, the WWF. Comparing THQ's runaway success to the poorly received and equally poorly remembered Warzone and Attitude efforts from Acclaim, WWF moved swiftly to have THQ work their magic on their brand. On May 14, 1999, the two companies announced a 3-game deal for the N64, Game Boy Color, and PlayStation. The N64 would receive WWF Wrestlemania 2000 in October of 1999 in North America and Europe, with Japan getting released in November of 2000. The game would use the base engine of the previous two games with alterations for more refined gameplay, and would include a story mode that culminated in the player participating in the WrestleMania main event. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the game was widely considered a success, triggering the green light for its follow-up, WWF No Mercy, which is still considered by many to be one of the greatest professional wrestling games of all time. In 2001, WWF would end up buying WCW, putting an end to the massive rivalry, and THQ would move on to the next generation of consoles, leaving behind them a legacy that wrestling fans and non-fans alike would remember fondly for countless late nights around the television, N64 controller in hand, suplexing their friends into folding tables. And that is your brief history of THQ wrestling games on the N64.
Diggity dog. Diggity.
All right. And thank you for that brief history, Chris, taking us down the polygonal memory lane with our weirdly shaped N64 controllers.
Take us on the road to WrestleMania.
On that road, brother. We're gonna Claymore our way to WrestleMania. Nobody? God damn it, Shane.
Don't fucking rely on me for this shit.
We're gonna start talking about our personal experiences. We might as well we'll talk to Shane first
Great.
about this. Just
Let's
get
do
him
that.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Shane, just talk about how you
I gotta go back
didn't
to
play
playing
wrestling
Candy
games
Crush
when you
or
were a
whatever.
child.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yes.
Okay.
Candy Crush.
Great. I've actually never played Candy Crush. But anyway, hey, yeah.
Bullshit.
So my experiences with these, none, zero, zilch. And
What?
that is because my experience with wrestling video games, much like my experience in being a fan of wrestling in general, ended somewhere around the mid 90s or so. So as soon as we transitioned away from the very like 80s inspired, super colorful, bombastic characters of the WWF era into what is known as the Attitude Era, that was about the time that I lost interest very quickly and kind of didn't pay attention to any of this after that fact. So I never really played any of these when they came out. And actually, I didn't have any friends who owned them either. Or if they did, we never played them together. We were probably too busy, well, actually playing Smash, which is surprising given it's me. Because, I'm just the biggest Smash fan in the world. But probably more GoldenEye, like no odd job, slappers only. Like that's my jam.
See, that's why I had to give you the nickname of the Dragon Steamboat, because I think that's a wrestler you might understand.
Maybe.
What? Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
See, not that one. You could have gone with like Jake the Snake Roberts.
They were around the same time.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
dressed as
remember
a
the
fucking
Steamboat.
dragon and blue fire. How could you not remember that?
I mean, listen, I was 12. There were a lot of drugs. I don't know.
12? That's the Attitude Era.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That was the Attitude Era when you were 12. That's not Jake the Snake Roberts. Anyway, I think we're going to move on to a more interesting story about these games. Goobs, what's your personal experience with them?
With wrestling in general, it's been around my whole fucking life. Started watching with my grandpa way back in the day. I remember watching wrestling like as long as I can remember, since I was 4 or 5. Back in like 87, 88. And then getting the games from there. The first one was just pro wrestling, the good old black box game for NES. That terrible little wrestling game that I hold near and dear to my heart, 'cause that's what started the whole fucking thing for me. And I have played and owned pretty much every wrestling game since then, like that was released in America and Canada. And played them all, fucking beat them all, loved them all, well, for the most part. I'm looking at you, Attitude. That game's fucking trash.
It's bad.
But, and the ECW game too. Who needs a fucking to do a Hadouken to do a suplex? It makes no sense at all.
Apparently, a broke
scheme
Paul
on that.
Heyman does.
Yeah, well, that was absolutely garbage. But yes, I even own the backyard wrestling games with
Oh, wow.
ICP and it. Whoop whoop! Shout out to the Juggalos out there.
See, that's your thing, right, Shane?
God, you know what? I'm not even going to make a comment about that.
Oh, you hate wrestling and Juggalos? God damn it, we're not friends
Take
no
your
more.
Fago and get the fuck out of here.
I'll shove my Fago up your ass, brother. And I was a backyarder for myself for a while as well. I went by the ring name Steve-A-Side. Very original, if you know my real name. Or if you didn't, now you do.
I guess I do now.
But yeah, barbed wire, fucking thumbtacks, light tubes, did all that shit. So I've lived it. I loved it. I've played it. And yeah, this has been throughout there. And these games have been hold true throughout my life. I still fucking go back and play these ones with my buddies. Or we'll just do a Royal Rumble and just sit there and watch the computer play. And we'll sit back and drink and take bets on who's going to win.
That actually sounds like a really good time.
That's how much of a fucking nerd I am when it comes to wrestling.
Okay. So my experience is not quite like Goob's. Well, I was kind of into wrestling around the same time Shane's describing, the late 80s, when I was like 4, 5, 6. I remember when I was like 6 years old and we were playing football in a neighbor's yard, and I ended up going into a bush and getting a stick in my eye and had to get an eye patch for a couple of days. But I remember going back to my house, like, I'm covering my eye, it's hurting like shit. And what was it called? The Saturday Show in the early 90s, Goobs?
Saturday Night Main Event.
It wasn't Saturday night. It was like a Saturday morning show. Saturday Superstars or something like that. Maybe Main Event. Something to that degree. And I was more focused on trying to watch the wrestling show than care to my eye, which, was pretty fucked up. And I was a pirate for about 2 weeks. But I got back into wrestling again during the Attitude Era. And what the Attitude Era is, the late 90s WWF, and then you had the Monday Night Wars with WCW Nitro, and that's when these games were coming out, and these were great party games. So I think I got into these games around WCW Revenge. I don't think I remember playing World Tour, because I think World Tour took a lot of people by surprise. They weren't expecting a decent wrestling game just because we hadn't got any any real good ones in so long. So when you actually had a good one come out, people were like, oh, wow, this is a fun game. And then when Revenge came out, because it only came out like a year later, that's when I jumped on board, and apparently a lot of other people did. I think I then played WrestleMania 2000, because I remember going through the character creation a lot. And then I think I skipped on No Mercy. I'm pretty sure I skipped on No Mercy. I think I was into the Dreamcast at that point, and I'd kind of moved past the N64. But then, as I joined the Navy, I kind of fell out with wrestling for a long time. That was around 2003. And I just actually got back into watching wrestling about 3 years ago now, when I was in Diego Garcia, just because when you're there, there's nothing really else to do except watch TV and get drunk. So when you get off work and you get done working out and you're changing and you want to relax, the thing on the TV is either you can watch Tucker Carlson and Rachel Maddow, or you can watch professional wrestling. So I think the choice there was
entertaining
really
in their
easy.
own ways.
Yeah, sure. But I know which one I'd rather be watching.
I mean, all I'm saying is that I just really wouldn't mind seeing Tucker Carlson thrown through a table, but
I'd like to
do.
see Tucker Carlson and Rachel Maddow wrestle. I think they'd have a good wrestling match.
True.
I think that'd be fun.
True.
Hey, before we move on, who's everyone's favorite wrestler? I'm just going to say mine right now. It is a Canadian legend. Shout outs to Goobs right there. Canadian legend in Chris Jericho. He is my favorite all-time wrestler.
I thought you were going to say Steve Aside.
Sure. It's Steve Aside. Wink, wink. Sure. Steve Aside. No, Chris Jericho. How about you, Goobs?
I got to go with fucking Edge, man. The guy made a comeback from a fucked up neck. He was off for 9 years or so, and he came back, and now he's in contention for fucking the belt for WrestleMania. So
he's another Canadian.
And he's a Canadian
Edge.
legend too. Him and Bret Hart. I like him too. The other one we mentioned before, I won't mention again. That's before he did bad things, though. I like everyone though. There's goods and bads and everything. I can mention Kurt Angle. I love him. Eddie Guerrero. He's fucking great.
Yeah, poor Eddie Guerrero.
I can just list off names upon names.
Absolutely. How about you, Shane? That from what you can remember.
Yes, thank you. No, I think the things that probably stuck with me the most, the ones that I always were really drawn to, I feel like at this point they're basically like meme choices almost, just because of how these have kind of like pervaded internet culture by this point. But honest to God, like Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulkamania like era Hulk Hogan, like those were my guys. Actually, fun little side story, since I probably won't have many of those. I was so into Hulk Hogan at that time that I convinced my parents to buy me I guess it was not really a disposable camera, but it kind of was. But it was a Hulk branded camera. And of course, for any of the chillins listening, this was back when they were not digital. You had to, buy film. Feel free to Google what film was, by the way.
You had to wind it up and shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so we had to buy film for this thing. But here's what made it great. First of all, the photo quality was total ass. This thing was not built to take quality photos. And my cat is apparently wanting to contribute to the conversation. This thing was not built.
Hogan loves the pussy, brother.
It was not built to take quality photos, but what it was built to do was put this full color little watermark photo of Hulk Hogan's face in the corner of every one of your photographs. And it was amazing and stupid.
I was hoping it would say brother every time we took a picture.
No,
That'd be
technology
awesome.
wasn't that advanced. It would sound like it was coming through a McDonald's drive-thru. You know that. Like, you take a photo and just be like, oh, brother.
It would still sound like him. You would still mark out to that.
I probably would have, yeah. But that's
I was going to ask you about another thing of Hulk Hogan merch as well. I had the fucking dumbbells and like the rippable shirt and the headband.
Nice.
They're like 5 pound, like they're full of fucking cement. Like mine broke open. They were fucking dangerous. But I remember lifting those, watching the old fucking show Saturday.
I always wanted to go to Hulk Hogan's pasta restaurant, but alas, it never happened.
I heard all the pasta at Hulk Hogan's restaurant is white.
I heard it's all 24 inches, brother. And it tastes like vitamins and prayers.
That's right. It's all just like whey protein powder noodles.
Now that we've told our stories, let's talk about the stories in this game. Which
Wow.
I think there's only
Fucking
one
nailed
game
it.
maybe 2 games. I haven't had a real good chance to sit down with WWF Wrestlemania. So maybe Goobs, you can enlighten us on this one. But the only game that really has a story, to my knowledge, is No Mercy. In terms of like a real story mode. Did they have one in WrestleMania 2000, Goobs?
I'm not too sure. I don't think so. The full-fledged one, I think, is in, like, with the cutscenes and everything, with Vince McMahon bobbling his fucking turkey neck, is in No Mercy.
Are you talking about D'Lo Brown?
No, he's in there too, though.
Okay. Because you say bobbling turkey neck, I think of D'Lo Brown. Look it up, people, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
You're looking at the real deal now. Woo!
Yeah, nope. So let's. I'm just going to say this about the first 3. Is pretty much you select your wrestler and you choose a belt and you just fight wrestlers until you get to the championship match. Now, again, that might not be the case at WrestleMania. None of us remember great research on all of our parts.
WrestleMania is very much that, where you pick a title and then you go through it. I think there is a little bit of cutscenes in between, as far as I can remember. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. But yeah, you just go through. You pick a title and just defend it, or you go for it, pretty much.
Right. But the difference, and that's the same with World Tour and Revenge as well. Because I mean, I've just sat down through Revenge, and I thought it was going to be a little bit more robust. But no, you pick a title and you're just wrestling other wrestlers until you win. So there's no story there. But the good thing about No Mercy is it almost plays out like a Monday Night Saga. You choose a wrestler, a created character, whatever, you choose your belt, and instead of just wrestling over and over and over again, you get special stipulations, or you'll go backstage and it'll be like, you talk smack about my mother? No, I didn't talk smack about your mother. Okay, let's have a cage match. And then it will happen. And if you win the cage match or you lose the cage match, you go to a different match. And that's kind of the story. And I think that at the time that was pretty forward thinking.
Yeah, there's like there's trees you can go through, like story trees and shit, which is pretty crazy for a wrestling game.
Yeah, branching paths and everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Normally you don't get that. I don't know why I call them story trees, but that's what we're getting tonight.
And I know it's not the first game to do that, because I think SmackDown did it first. But then that was for the PlayStation. But we're talking about the N64 games. Maybe we'll talk about the PlayStation ones next year. But we'll see. Maybe Shane will be up for it then when he gets to watch more wrestling, because everything's here in our hometown, which he got to watch.
I doubt it.
Okay.
But you hold out that hope, though, Chris.
I'll keep hoping. Shane, what do you think of all these little stories, not really knowing much anything about wrestling?
Man, it sure was some wrestling, though. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what is there to say, really? And it's not that it's a knock against any of the games. They're fucking wrestling games. I mean, like, and to Goob's point, like the fact that it even included, branching paths based
Story
on
trees.
the outcomes
Story
is, yeah, story trees. It is impressive, especially for the time. But I certainly, and I don't think anybody else necessarily expected anything in terms of like some grandiose sweeping plot or anything. I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm not even sure that you really get that in actual wrestling, really. So, what are you looking for here? I will say
you do.
that, like, if we're talking about like writing, you're not really getting much in the way of writing. and this kind of blends a little bit into, you know, later discussion about like sound and stuff, but you know, it's definitely neat to have like the sound bites from, you know, your superstars and their catchphrases and that stuff kind of incorporated into the games. But yeah, not too much else outside of that, really.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you can say about the story, unless you got anything to put out there, Goobs.
Yeah, no, there's nothing really much to it. Well, wait a second, there kind of is.
Okay.
Let's go off a little tangent here. Me and my buddies, and I did this up until recently, I have a whole YouTube channel devoted to this shit. We made our own fucking wrestling league. And me and my buddies would do this back on 64 and up until a year or two ago. And we would just go through and like make our own characters, make our own storylines. So we'd have our own storylines that you could do within the game. So that was like a whole new thing to it. You can make your own federation, make your own titles, and do your thing your way, which adds a different aspect to it, which I really appreciate.
That was No Mercy, right?
Yeah. And then everything gets deleted.
Yep, that's right. So I think that's a good segue into the gameplay.
That's a feature.
That's not a bug, it's a feature. That does kind of lead into the gameplay, though, and we'll get to the data erasing, because that's just specific to one game.
I've owned 3 copies of that game, and they all have done it.
Yeah, I got my copy does it too. It sucks. You can save it to the controller pack, though, but then you have to keep loading and saving. It's annoying.
Yeah, but if you have the controller pack in while you're doing it, I've had to delete that as well.
Ew.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's just that response. Like, I was not expecting that. It's gross.
It is. It's fucking terrible. Like, I put hours into that fucking thing. It's just like, nope, boom, gone. Okay, I'll save it to my memory card. Oh shit, I didn't take the memory card out. Oh shit, the game wiped. Oh shit, my memory card's wiped. No, God, why?
My console's on fire.
No, that's Superman 64.
Oh God, don't.
Then you just
remind
grab
me.
the 64 controller and jam it right up your friend's ass, because your own ass is precious.
And it has 3 prongs, man, so three friends can get on the action.
There you go.
One less than a stool.
Yeah, besides, you need to save your own ass for a Wiimote, as we all know.
With a latex condo.
So in any case, this game is actually simple enough for Shane to enjoy. So Shane, how about you tell us?
Wow.
Whoa, you're turning heel now, bud.
Jeez.
Shane, you want to tag team up against this guy here?
No, you know what? It's fine. He's going to get his comeuppance when we start talking about Dark Souls. It's fine.
So what did you think about the gameplay, Shane?
You know, I got to be honest, actually, and this is part of the reason we kind of worked it into the script of the brief history, is that I was pleasantly surprised with how like oddly intuitive the control scheme was. For this type of game anyway, but B, and more specifically for the N64 controller, because as we all know, I mean, I was used to it because I was a kid and that's all I had. So, you know, I became adept with that thing, but like objectively, it's a fucking weird ass controller, and we all know that. But yeah, I mean, I think the button mappings actually made a lot of sense, even though like on paper they probably didn't. And frankly, this was one of the things, and this was something Chris and I were talking about kind of offline prior to recording this episode, that gave these titles, I think, a leg up on some of the other ones, like specifically some of the earlier WWF titles that we mentioned in the brief history, because the control schemes were very different and not great, let's just say, with some of those other games. And so this is kind of part of what helped these to stand out, at least in my opinion.
But yeah, the ease and the simplicity was something I think that really drew in a lot of people that were fans of wrestling at the time. You have to think the Attitude Era, even though it was more mature, had more, and when I say mature, I say it in air quotes.
I say, was it really?
I mean, it felt
Show
more
me puppies.
Yeah, I mean, it had scantily clad women and
Old lady tits.
Yeah, and wrestlers' fucking corpses. So it was mature. And I'm not joking about the wrestlers' fucking corpses, by the way.
It sure is.
I'm not
edgy.
joking about the old lady tits either.
No, yes, it had old women releasing, freeing the nipples. So it was very progressive.
Look like tin cans in a fucking old sock.
All right, roll them back up.
That was Mae Young. Was it Mae Young? I think it was Mae Young.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
gonna puke.
But Yeah, you think like a lot of the people who were fans back then were people that were my age, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that were trying to be edgy and emo and hard as hell. And we had just gotten through like WWF Attitude, which was a big game when it came out because it had like Stone Cold on the cover and it was really fucking cool. And that game would rip your thumb. They would just tear your thumbs up with all the stupid combinations you had to input in order to really play it.
So terrible.
It was so bad.
But you can make ICP in that game. Woot woot.
You can
Shows
make what?
Juggalos and Shane.
Jesus. Getting that Fego.
I mean,
totally do
but
that,
like,
though.
what are magnets really?
How do they really work?
But then you got this game that these wrestling games, I should say.
I just love how Chris is trying to keep us on track. It's great. Fucking miracle magnets. And Chris is like, anyway, so assessment of this game from an academic standpoint.
But it was simple. You had your strong grapple, your weak grapple, your strikes. And then, like, if you wanted to climb the ropes, all you had to do was run into it. And a run was just a button press.
Yeah.
So everything there is simple. And the fact that you used the D-pad and you held it like a real controller, you'd think it wouldn't work because it's a 3D game, but it does. And it feels great.
It works damn well.
Yes. Even the fact you have to use the analog stick for your special move, it still doesn't feel completely broken.
But it felt special when you had to do that, though. It's like, oh, yeah, you're about to get fucking hit, brother. Boom, power bomb.
Here comes the analog stick, brother.
You're about to take an anally.
And they had moves like that, especially in No Mercy, where you could.
Oh, the camel clutch, you can definitely stick it in anally.
Oh, yeah. And then you could buy a hoe.
Yeah, you can buy a hoe, an expensive jacket or shirt.
Mm-hmm. It's the most expensive thing in No Mercy. So if your save file lasts long enough, you can buy a hoe. It's fantastic.
Goals.
You can buy some head, too.
But the other thing about the gameplay is that not only was it simple, it was also really complex. So once you learned all the different ways to control shit, you could beat the shit out of a beginner pretty easily. Make them a right jobber. You'd be the grizzled veteran and just kicking their ass all over the place. Be great.
Once you learn the timing and like the reversal button, it's over.
Yeah, I still have yet to understand how the fuck to use that, though. I'll be honest. I don't know how to use fucking reserve. No, I don't know how to reverse shit. Like, it's just like by accident.
Grapple, man. When they're gonna hit like down B to do like an arm drag or whatever, you fucking hit that R like at the same time as they're doing that, like the animation happens, you'll fucking reverse that shit.
I just don't know what the timing is. That's all. Like I just rapidly press R and hope I get it at the right time.
Oh no, it's more of a finesse instead of a buddy mashing thing.
And I see you, Goobs, as the master of finesse.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
The most finesseful.
Is that my new wrestling name, Mr. Finesse?
Mr. Finesseful.
Like no, don't overcomplicate it, Mr. Finesse. You want to stick with that.
But I'll get with the reversals, especially in No Mercy, as I noticed, is that the CPU will reverse fucking everything at the higher levels. Doesn't matter what the difficulty is. When you're going through
you got to work it up like a wrestling match, man. You got to start off weak first. You got to get a few of the weak moves in, hit them a couple times, then you got to go to the medium, then to the strong.
Yes.
Come on, you're a mark. You should fucking know this, man. The story of a match, you got to build it up. It's got to mean something to you, brother.
And you're absolutely right. And the game will force you to do it that way, or you're going to get your ass kicked. Royally kicked. You can't go in a strong grapple. You have to do weak grapples and like eye rakes. You're right. You're absolutely right. You got to build it. You got to tell the story. You can't just fucking Braun Strowman everything.
No, you can't just go in there and give fucking choke slams and 1, 2, 3, call it a day, go home and eat some fucking Whataburger.
But what if you're goddamn Goldberg and you have Whataburger in Canada?
No, I was just making an American reference because I felt like an American because we're talking about wrestling.
Half the country doesn't have Whataburger, though.
Toby always tells me about Whataburger, so I stole that from him.
Yeah. Well, that's Texas. Texas is Whataburger. It's just, that's all they have there.
I mean, we're getting one down here in the Berg now, so,
Oh, yeah? Why are we talking about fucking Whataburger? God damn it.
I don't know. Goob started it.
Gains, brother.
He doesn't even have a Whataburger.
Yeah, you got to eat them 6,000 calories to maintain this, brother.
Anyway, what were we fucking talking about? How it gets hard? And we're talking about the game.
That's what we're always
Not
talking
penis.
about.
Well, when we're watching wrestling, some people may get hard, but
I know I do.
one interesting thing too is the stamina meter, like a momentum meter in this game. So if one person gets like really hot and bothered, it's like they're really going for it. They're on the roids, you know, they're all juiced up. The meter's going to go up and you're going to get the special, but the other person could be in danger, and like you should really watch out. Like if you're in danger, you're not getting anything off but normal moves, like the basic of moves, the weak ones. But the other guy can do pretty much whatever the fuck he wants to you, and then if he gets a special, you're completely fucked and probably going to get knocked out and or pinned or submitted.
Because the game doesn't have like any real health system. Like you don't have a health bar. That's all you have to kind of tell how you're doing.
Well, you can tell by the way they're holding their body as well.
Right.
Like if your arm's completely fucked, like your arm will be kind of limping, or if your head, you'll hold your head.
But that's another thing the game does well too, is the psychological wrestling. So if you know your guy's special is like on the arms, then you could work the arms, or you can work the upper body if you know that that's what your wrestler special is going to go after, which is something that you can not you can do in professional wrestling, but something you see in professional wrestling when you watch it.
Yep.
So you'll see like someone who does the figure 4 is going to be working their legs, or someone who does a power bomb is going to be working their back. And you can do that in this game, and it's really cool. And they show that, and if you do it correctly, you get rewarded for it.
Oh, 100%. You can definitely work whatever body part you want. And as
You can work
like
my
if you
body
have the
part.
crippler crossface, or you have the fucking an arm bar or a sleeper, and just work the neck, work the arms, and then boom, 5 minutes later, tapping out.
Yeah, Shane, you're pretty quiet over there. Are you working your body parts?
Dude, you have no idea. You're going to have to do some editing.
Oh, I thought. Okay, I'll just erase all the nice moist. It sounds like you're making matzo balls, but apparently you were doing something.
Why are you guys stirring macaroni?
Okay, talking about stirred macaroni. Let's talk about these graphics.
That's smashed ass. That's what that is.
Stirring macaroni into smashed ass. Okay,
That's
got
right.
it.
It's all related. But boy, these did not age well.
Yes, they did not. They look bad. So
I think this is
fired
my
up.
hill to die on.
Oh, great.
Are you gonna
This is gonna be
tell us the
fantastic.
graphics are good? Are you gonna okay? Tell us the graphics are good, Goobs. Please tell us the graphics.
These are fucking legendary.
No,
How
they're
can
not legendary.
No,
Sure,
fuck you
I'll give you
both.
that.
I mean, Ocarina of
no.
Time is considered legendary, but also the original version still looks like asshole.
No. Going back.
What?
And you appreciate these with the, like, I see through my kid eyes. And this was the fucking shit. And I still think this is the fucking shit.
Special
Was.
eyes.
I said, no, I specialized my kid eyes.
Have you seen The
Nostalgia
Rock's
glasses.
face? Go and look at The Rock's face in No Mercy. Look at his face. He's in the
Yeah, it
perpetual
looks like he ran into a
people's
fucking
eyebrow.
wall, but I don't care. I love that he ran into a wall for me, for him to be in this game.
He did that. He did that for us.
There's square heads. I love it. And like, I should get a tattoo of fucking one of these guys, of how they look in the game, just how
Please
much I
do.
love this.
It'll be like PS1 Hagrid.
And I gotta say, I was watching the opening to WCW NWO Revenge, where they have Sting show up at
Yeah, on the
they
road
run into
with the
Sting.
truck. Epic.
Yeah, and you know what? Sting looks like a cosplayer at the Magic the Gathering event.
Nobody
Okay.
looks like Sting.
No, he does not look like Sting. He looks like Sting just went on a bender and decided to drink, not exercise, and eat pizza for nothing but a week. That's what his
So
face
Sting
looks like.
now.
Yes. Sting looks good now. He's still wrestling. I don't know why, but he is. Sting looks fine now. You're talking more about
I will
Jake the Snake.
stand on this hill forever. I fucking love the way this game looks. And
It
still
has a
holds up.
charm.
Your AEW game that's based after this game, they have one of the creators of this game working on it. Those graphics are fucking worse than this.
Yeah, it's fine. I can say the graphics suck, and the game is still fun to play.
I don't know, man. It's super fun to play, and I love the graphics still. I just hold them highly, nearly and dearly to my heart.
This is okay. We'll agree to disagree. Are you gonna tell us how often the intro videos are as well?
They're all great, especially the one that shows all the names and they're targeting people's faces like China, and then Triple H, and then The Rock, and then everyone, and then Kane comes out and hits the pyro. Like, this shit was fucking epic to me as a kid. Like,
I'm not arguing that.
What was that?
I'm not arguing that. Yeah, the intros were awesome. I'm talking about like when they're coming down to the ring.
One of these games were fucking great.
I'm talking about they come down to the ring. Their intros.
Oh, the music intros. Well, No Mercy had the best ones because you actually had a bit of a sound bite there. You got to hear "If You Smell." So like that was cool when he was coming down, but yeah, the WCW ones are a little bit lackluster on the
extremely
coming down. I thought you were talking about the intros altogether. Now I'm getting all hot and flustered, man. What the fuck? You know I'm fucking diehard about this shit.
I'm gonna bring out. I'm trying to bring out rageful goops. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, no, you kind of did there. I was about to fucking rip a hole in both of you for a second.
All I'm saying is okay. Look, if you go to the PlayStation entries, which is WCW Nitro and maybe more so SmackDown. When wrestlers came out to their intros for the matches, you had the full video and uncompressed sound. I guess we're kind of rolling into the sound aspect of this too.
Hey, but if we're talking about that Tony Hawk fucking Pro Skater or 2 for N64, they only played like 30 seconds of a song.
Yes, and that's a problem. That's not a good thing.
We still got the game.
Yes, it's still a good game. We're not talking about whether or not it's a good game.
Chris isn't saying that the game is bad because it looks like hot asshole. He's saying it looks like hot asshole.
I am defending that hot asshole of wrestling.
No, I mean you do you, man. You are entitled to that 100%. And like for me, I'm coming at it, of course, as someone with like no nostalgia for it, right?
Do the graphics do the job? Okay, I will say the graphics do the job.
Sure. Yeah,
they absolutely do the job.
You can tell them apart.
But like you know who they're trying to represent, but it's like when you're playing a Nintendo game and you have to use your imagination to really flesh out the environment, it's kind of the same thing.
I don't know about that. I feel like that's going a little too far.
With their faces, with their faces.
For what it's worth, though, right? I mean, it was, at the time, it was a huge fucking deal to be able to literally see your favorite wrestling superstar's face, like, mapped onto a 3D model as if he were, like, there. Like, and that's something that you have to keep in mind, in all fairness. Have they aged well? I mean, listen, nostalgia aside,
it looks like Roblox wrestling, but fuck it, I love it so much.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, objectively, probably not. Haven't aged particularly well, but you know that is a fair assessment to say that. And not to mention, you know, as much as that particular era of video games probably has suffered the worst as far as, you know, poor aging would go, it was also kind of in a way a double-edged sword in that, like, that was one of the biggest leaps, and that's why it was the first run of, you know, polygonal home consoles. And so you have, you know, like the FF7 problem, right, where like everything is like 8 polygons. And so, of course, it looks pretty bad now, but at the time, that was like mind-blowing. So it's kind of a victim of just being in that particular era.
Oh, sure. No, that's, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's people that were standing on the hill for Final Fantasy VII. That's just what they loved growing up.
Yeah, that's why they want it remade. As we were talking about the sound, and you're saying the sound bites were there, I will say, okay, for an N64 game, No Mercy does a fantastic job of bringing those sound bites in. They sound,
hear them.
Yeah, they sound compressed, but they're there, and that's what's important. So I get what you're saying about. Yes, I get what you're saying about the graphics. I understand
the videos
that.
On the like coming into the entranceway are fucking terrible. They're just like quick, like it's The Rock holding the microphone up, down, up, down, up, down, like nothing fluid. It's like you're watching porn on a fucking internet from 1998.
The animations are very basic. You can tell they were just kind of thrown in because, hey, here's an animation for them to come in. But the fact that the music is there for the intros is great. I would say the music in general, even the background music while you're wrestling, is decent. Like, it's not silence, which is good.
Yeah, most of the games, like they have their like rock and roll, like shitty 90s, 2000s, like random rock gifs. Yeah, butt rock. Yeah, we can go with that.
But it's not bad. Yeah, but it doesn't get in the way, is what I'm saying. It doesn't overpower the match in a positive or negative manner.
I'd much rather have that than Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler fucking repeating themselves 100 fucking times over the same goddamn thing.
Could you imagine if they tried to put commentary in any of these N64 games, how often we would hear them repeat themselves?
It would sound like Shane's classic fucking McDonald's guy talking through a microphone. Oh God, he's broken in half.
It would have been awful. Didn't they try to do that with one of the Acclaim games? I think they did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
It was not good. Well, nothing much was good about it. It was a step up from where it was before, which is not saying much. The one thing I do take issue with, and I think you will too, Goobs, with the sound, and hear me out on this one, because if you're going to die on this hill, just let me know if you're going to die on this hill.
No, I've already died on a hill tonight.
Yeah, there's only one hill.
Well, this one's another hill. It's a new hill. We found one.
No, he's already chosen his.
Okay.
Well, there might be a bigger hill.
I'm kind of upset that the game doesn't really recognize who's a heel and who's a face. Like, they cheer everyone.
Yeah. But did they really have the technology for that back in the day?
They couldn't boo, Chris.
There's no boos
But there
allowed.
are boos. But they boo them if they do certain moves. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could have been programmed that certain characters were heels and certain characters were faces. I understand that it's dynamic and very fluid.
Choose heel and face. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Maybe in No Mercy you can, but the other ones you certainly can't.
Or I'm just thinking of every other fucking wrestling game I played, all 50 of them.
They all start to blend together after a while. I'll say that, especially with character creation. But I can't remember. You're right. I can't remember if you can choose them to be a heel and a face. But I do know, like, when you're wrestling and you're like beating the shit out of people, but you do an eye rake, they boo you. Or if you do a hold too long, they boo you. But then if you do a power slam, if you do like a power bomb, that you get cheers. And it doesn't matter what character you are. That's one thing I wish they could have
grabbing weapons and shit like that too.
Yeah. Like people should be booing Hollywood Hulk Hogan if you're Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He was a heel. Like, no matter what he does, if he's being successful, he should be booed. But they don't do that.
100% agree with that assessment. Hollywood Hulk Hogan should be booed always for everything.
What you talking about, brother?
They did that, man. They did that character dirty. I took that personally.
It was most successful. It was one of the most successful versions of Hulk Hogan, though.
Yeah, and I hate that.
But then he came around later, man, him versus The Rock in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
And neither of them are Canadian.
Well, The Rock is Canada adjacent. His dad was Canadian.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Okay. So does anyone have anything else they want to put out about the audio?
Oh, I want to talk about the sound for a second. My favorite sound in the world is when someone gets punched in the dick. Ding!
Just in general or in the game specifically?
No, in the game. When you hit someone in the dick, it always goes ding. It's like a bell ringing.
Actually, you bring up a really good point. Not just like the hit in the dick, which is great. The dick hit's great. But just like all the impact sounds. Like all the slaps, all the punches, all the slams, all the weapon hits. Like, they're really fucking good.
They have weight behind them.
Yes, that's good sound design. It's not super advanced, but it's really fucking good sound design. It added to the game.
I have a quick one thing too, and like I've had happen multiple times while playing it. Sometimes when you grab a weapon, I think it was No Mercy, maybe 2000. They come out double sized, so you would have like just a giant fucking stop sign or a baseball bat. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And it would just glitch, and you come out and just like smack like people all over the fucking place with this giant thing. So wrestling games have been glitchy, not just WWE 2K20. Which is an abysmal piece of shit.
Yeah, don't play any of the recent... Don't play Battlegrounds either. Just stay away. Just don't do it.
No, I won't. I'm not touching that. Last one I played was 19.
Okay. Miscellaneous facts. We already mentioned the fact that... Go ahead,
sorry,
Goobs.
One more thing. The menu song. The Dig Diggity Dog.
Oh, yeah. For No Mercy.
Socko. That's still stuck in my head up until this day.
Yeah, the other ones are pretty unmemorable.
And Jenny Bean will get very pissed off if I don't mention that while I'm talking about this game.
Shout outs to Jenny Bean.
There you go.
Shane, do you know what's going on?
I'm sorry, what? I was getting a high score in Candy Crush. What?
Well, maybe if you listen to Secret Levels, you would know, motherfucker.
Oh!
Me and Shane have a feud going on after this.
Yeah, there's beef.
Oh, there's beef, brother. You're going to find that beef deep inside my anus. Yeah, I want to shove your head up there, brother.
Push that beef.
You can't take it seriously at all.
So some miscellaneous things. We already talked about how No Mercy, other than being a fantastic game, which I think it's probably one of the best wrestling games ever made, period, had a major flaw in it that kind of soured everything. And it just really soured my experience with the game too. Unless you don't want to create a character, which has a fantastic create a character mode, by the way. And it's really robust. You can pick every single move, design them for the time at least, like design them any way you wanted to. It's really good, and just have it wiped out because it came with a bug. No Mercy, when it launched, no bueno, and THQ actually did a recall, and you could send your cartridge in and they send you back a new one, and that game now is extremely rare and expensive. That actually doesn't erase your data, but they do exist. So that's one miscellaneous fact. Also, the Giant, the wrestler formerly known as the Giant, formerly known as The Big Show, now currently known as Paul White, was
BS,
on the cover. The No BS was on both the cover of the first WCW N64 game and the first WWF N64 game. I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was.
And now he's probably going to be on the cover of the first AEW video game. I could only see it. Gotta get him on the cover of all
anyways, I put young guys on there.
Just put him on there for tradition's sake. I want to have him strike the same pose as he is on fucking
holding his waist.
WrestleMania. Yeah, like from his failed TV show on Netflix.
The Big Show show?
Yeah, the Big Show show. Shane, you really haven't said
Yes.
much this episode. Do you have anything before we go into whether it holds up and we close this out?
No. Honestly, no. I don't really have anything.
You've almost said less than Meredith on the Sailor Man
I was just going to say that.
Hey man, listen, when y'all were talking about doing this episode, I told you, Chris, ahead of time. I was just like, I know fuck all about any of this, so I'm doing what I can.
Well,
doing
I'm
a good
sorry I'm
job.
nerding out here at your expense, Shane.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I will
I mean,
not
listen,
take
at the end of the day,
Anything
it's not
away
like-
when I get you inside the cage this Sunday, Shane. Oh, I'm going to take you to the top, brother. I'll give you a power bomb right off the top of the cage. Send me right through it. Like mankind, you're going to be broken in half. You won't be having kids because I'm going to take your testicles in a testicles match.
I mean, is that a promise?
Shane, kayfabe, keep it kayfabe.
Is this military lingo?
No,
No, kayfabe means like real life.
but sure.
I have no fucking idea what's going on right now.
Well, I'm sorry I sound like an idiot to you, Shane.
I didn't say that.
I'm having fun though. I said it. I'm keeping it kayfabe.
It's okay. Shane's Canadian adjacent too.
I mean, that is true.
Well, you're going to be when you
Maine is
get a little
basically South
Canadian
Canada.
in you. I want to give you the Canadian pile driver.
Shane, this is going to give you
Yes.
another opportunity to talk. So would you please let us know whether or not you think these games hold up today?
Yeah, see, that's a tough call because I mean, and I know I'm about to catch even more heat. I'm about to
kill
increase.
rising.
I'm about to increase that beef here as we're speaking. But
Increase the beef.
I never really enjoy the gameplay of these kind of games anyway, so it's actually really hard for me to make that like assessment. The only one that I played with any sort of frequency, and I'm not even talking about the N64 games that we've been talking about today, was WrestleMania for the Super Nintendo. Okay, and that was pretty much it. And I think part of the problem, and it's a thing that's it's totally on me, really, is that I think where these games really tend to shine is in multiplayer when you've got some friends hanging out and you're beating the shit out of each other. And I just didn't have that because, like I said earlier in the episode, I didn't have any of my friends who owned these games, so I never really had an opportunity to play them. I didn't have them. So I think I missed out on part of what made these games as special as they are for a lot of people. Now, if I was going to choose something, as far as whether it was going to hold up today or not, I mean, based on my experience with them more recently, I'd probably go with like Revenge. I mean, obviously No Mercy is a solid pick. I think we've all kind of said that at this point, but I'd go with Revenge just based on what I've seen. But they're definitely still a hell of a lot of fun to just like dick around with friends and, you know, knock the shit out of each other. Now, whether the rest of it holds up, I mean, we talked about the graphics. That's rough. And if you kind of extract nostalgia from it, which is hard to do, definitely. I mean, there's been plenty of things that we've talked about on this show where we've had completely biased opinions about them. Castlevania 64, for example. That's one of the hills I'll die on.
See, we all have hills.
Yeah, everybody's got hills. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, as far as gameplay, yes, I still think they definitely hold up. Outside of that, maybe a little less so. But let's be real. Like, you could do a hell of a lot worse, even just in the pantheon of wrestling games, than any of these titles that we talked about today.
Oh, fuck yeah, you could.
I'll go next and let Goobs close this out. So,
you know I'm going to have something to say.
hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of in the same boat with Shane, but I'm going to be more positive because I definitely think these games hold up. The simplicity really allows these games to be playable now. You can pick them up even with the N64 controller. If you used it back in the day, obviously this is not going to be a hard game for anyone to initially grasp. It's going to be very easy to learn and very difficult to master. It's just one of those games. I will say this, if you're going to play any games today out of this series, I would say go with Revenge or WrestleMania 2000. Mostly because the odds that your No Mercy cart is going to erase itself are pretty high, which means if you happen to play this by yourself, there's almost no point in doing so with No Mercy. However, if you got a group of friends together, yeah, go with No Mercy because the
there might be a way to fix that now, though. We might be able to get into it and like actually tinker around.
No, I mean that would require that's yeah. If it's erasing itself, it's going to erase itself just the way it's designed.
Yeah.
So if you don't care about creating a character, if you don't care about going through the single player mode, get No Mercy, get some friends together. You're going to have an absolute blast. If you care about those kind of things and you like playing with yourself, so to speak, then
go on.
Go with WrestleMania 2000, and that's the one that's going to be your single player avenue. And go with WCW if you want to go back and look at the WCW roster. There's a lot of up and coming stars that are like, oh wow, I remember all these people. But yeah, they absolutely hold up. They're absolutely a great time. The graphics look ugly. Sorry, Goobs. They do look bad, but once you get over that, you have to realize, yeah, this is probably the best wrestling game that's been released since then, especially when you look at the current crop of wrestling games. Maybe there was some on the Xbox 360 I know I hear people talking about, but no, when people talk about wrestling video games, these are the ones. They hold up, they're legit, and they're fun. Go back, try them out, have a good time. Okay, Goobs, do they hold up today?
Saying that none of the games really hold up, or not hold up, but like there's nothing really there, I suggest, Chris, you highly check out Fire Pro Wrestling. It's pretty much a better version of all these games. But anyways.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
Okay.
But you need to just go back in time a little bit, sit down with your friends. When you have 4 people on a couch beating the shit out of each other, it's absolutely goddamn great. And a couple things we missed on here. You got fucking Hell in a Cell match. You got cage matches. Oh, wait, no, you don't have Hell in a Cell. But anyways, you got ladder matches. Ladder matches was a huge thing. And like having a ladder match with your friends, and you're knocking the ladder over when they're near the top, fights are going to happen in real life because you're like, oh, you motherfucker. It's just like stealing a star from someone in Mario Brothers or Mario Party. Shit's going to go down for real. Or if your friend picks Odd Job, slappers only, like you said earlier.
Son of a bitch.
There's going to be fights that are going to happen as well. But these games totally hold up. Me and my friends have done tournaments over the ages, and we still do tournaments. We have a lot of fun playing these games. I absolutely think they hold up 100%. The graphics may not be the best, but they are still decent. You can tell the characters apart. We're not playing like some fucking shitty 8-bit game by LJN. You can't tell Wolverine apart from fucking Iceman or the shit. So I fucking love these games near and dear. So I will push these games forward 100%. Everyone should play these games. And there's, if you want to play some WCW, you got your guys there. If you want WWF, you got your guys there. And sometimes there's crossovers as well within both the games. You can be badass Jeff Hardy too, and swanton the shit out of people through tables, which is fucking amazing to do. So try these games out if you haven't, and we haven't sold them on you. Then it is what it is. I'll put you through a table myself.
You probably will too.
And that's a promise, brother.
Oh, that is a promise. Signed, sealed, delivered. Steve Aside will come to your house, whoever one doesn't like this game, and he'll put you through a table himself. I'm talking to third person.
Yeah. Goobs brought up a good point. The stipulation matches are the shit, and we
You
did
can go backstage too. Like you can run, you can whip them through the curtain and go backstage. You got an open back there. Like there's whole different rooms you can go into. It's fucking great. I suggest, like, if everyone's getting hardcore and nerdy into it like I'm, dude, just make your own federation and just fucking create a whole bunch of people. Me and Jen had an Oily Man championship dedicated to draws because he oiled himself up too much and broke his neck in the match.
Oh, shit.
Being too oils. Yeah, that's legit. And so we had an Oily Man title me and Jen would fight for all the time. Like, my wife plays this game with me as well. And we had a lot of fun doing so.
Nice.
Oily man party with your wife actually sounds like a lot of fun.
You're not invited.
I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, I also choose Oily Man party with this man's wife.
Okay, you're both going through fucking tables now. I'll light them on fire first, though. Legit, has anyone taken a light tube to the head?
I mean, evidently you have.
That doesn't mean anything. You asshole. No, we always knock the gas out of the tubes first. We'd always like crack the end a bit so there's no fucking deadly gas in there.
Okay.
But yeah, I have taken a light tube to the head.
Well, yeah. So on that note, I suppose that probably about wraps up our discussion of the N64 wrestling games.
No, I sound like an idiot. Thanks, Shane.
You're welcome. We're ending on a high note. So speaking of that, Goobs, appreciate you coming on the show, being a guest. It is a first, and definitely not the last. You're contractually obligated.
For the first and last time.
No, it's in your contract now. You're gonna have to come back at some point.
God damn it.
We're WWFing you back into the show.
That's right. So
Never say never.
So speaking of Goobs, where can the fine listeners find you and the things that you do out on the internet?
Well, you can, if you want to find everything that I am a part of and was a part of, you can go to badsecretmedia.com and just go there. You can find links to the secret levels, the derailers, and also my friend's podcast, Toby, who's not here right now, but I'll shout him out too, the Secret Transmission podcast. We're all under the same banner there. Go check it out. You can check out our merch store, all that other shit. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Goobz, GoobZZ, not Z, ZWN. And just find me all over the fucking place. And our podcast is absolutely on every platform. Secret Levels Podcast. Check us out. Retro gaming at its best. Besides these guys, maybe some of the time.
Aw, that's almost sweet. Thanks. All right. So, awesome.
Well, after the whole fucking the head trauma thing, I'm like, yeah, I'll do a little bit of sweet, but a bit of sour. The sweet and sour.
I meant
brother.
nothing by that. You literally were talking about light bulbs before.
I set myself up, okay?
And as far as we are concerned, if you're listening to this, then you've found us. So hello, welcome. It's nice to have you here. But if you'd like to engage a little bit more and in some different ways, you can do that because we make that available to you. So you're welcome is what I'm saying. We have a public Discord. You should jump in there. You can talk, you can chat, you can post some memes. You can have a good time. We've actually just installed some bots in there for some 24/7 music. So you can even just hop in and listen to some sweet retro jams any time of the day. And you can
promise
do that
they're not Russian
by going over to bit.ly/RHP chat. And that will give you an invite to our Discord. It will drop you in the Arcade Floor channel, and you can say hello to everybody. We've got an excellent little community in there, and we would love to have you. And of course, if you would like to support the show in a different way, if you're insane and want to give us money for this stupid thing we do, then you can head on over to gorpfans.com. That is GORPFANS.com. And you can take a look at the different donation tiers and choose one that fits you personally. And you can get access to some pretty sweet bonus audio content that we put out on a pretty regular basis. And so for as little as $1, you can get even more of us. Or if you want to, you can just donate to us and just tell us that you want less of us, and then you can just stop listening. That also works too. We're flexible that way, you know? Outside of that, Chris, you want to talk a little bit about the Sunday streams?
Yeah, so, hey, every Sunday we try to stream at 9 o'clock Eastern time over on twitch.tv/retrohangover. We play games we try to keep them relevant to the topic at hand, or we just play wherever the fuck we want to. So just come over there and check us out. Again, just like Discord, we have a great community that shows up on our Twitch streams every week. We got Riku, and we got Orden, and we got Llama, and we got Lyle, who always come there and just berate the hell out of us, and it's a great time. And they always tell us to get good because we suck, and we have fun.
That we're gonna fight now. You're stealing our Discord members now. We're gonna fucking fight.
They're on Twitch. It's a different thing. They show back up.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Nope. Fight.
Well, okay, we're fighting after this. So when we go off, just have you know, in a week we're going to have our match. And we're going to forget everything
play the heel at
that
the
we
beginning
talked
of this,
about.
right? So,
yeah,
I got to keep eye out for like a folding chair behind my head or something. You know?
He's going to ship it from Canada.
Be an ice ball or like a dog sled.
Yes.
Okay, gotta keep it thematic. All right, that's fair.
Yeah. You can also check our merch out at bit.ly/RHP merch. You get some cool stuff like Gorp the Eggplant Dragon on a coffee mug and drink your delicious Bones coffee while you are sipping that excellent mug of yours. You can also put Gorp on his shirt and tell everyone you too love eggplant dragons. That's
right.
Really all I got there, Shane. Back to you.
All right. Well, I believe with all of that being said, until next time,
play with your oily fun time joysticks.
Shane here with a quick message. You know, the one rule Chris and I have always gone by regarding advertisements is this. It has to be something we use and can personally vouch for. If you know me, you know I love coffee. And Bones Coffee Company has been my go-to for home brewing for quite some time now. Their small batch beans come in an impressive variety of flavors like Mint Invaders from Chocolate Space, or Electric Unicorn, which I swear tastes exactly like Fruity Pebbles. And the best part? No added sugar or calories involved, just natural flavors infused right into the beans themselves. Build your own sample pack of 5 4-ounce bags to find out which flavors speak to you, or jump in head first with full 12-ounce bags. They've even got K-Cups. Step up your homebrew game with Bones Coffee by visiting bit.ly/RHPBones. That's bit.ly/RHPBONES.